Boy, does this next story bust up some conventional wisdom. Data shows a surprising campus free speech problem, left-wingers being fired for their opinions. So, again, that flies directly in the face of everything you've ever been told. You have to understand, guys, it's all a matter of what gets covered. Where's the onus put? Where's the stress? And oftentimes you have an entire media apparatus on the right searching for the cases where this impacts the right, and so they're able to go out there and make it seem like, oh, this only happens to us. But when you go to the data, and when you actually look at it empirically, you go, oh, okay, that just turns out not to be true. So this report is from Georgetown University's Free Speech Project. This is nonpartisan. They weren't going into it looking for a specific answer. They just concerned about free speech, and they wanted to take a look. Well, here are the numbers. Listen to this. There were just over 90 incidents since the year 2016 that fit their criteria for a person's free speech being threatened. Now, of those 90, about 2/3 took place on college campuses. And their criteria was, okay, is somebody being deplatformed or is somebody being fired over allegedly offensive comments? So that seems like a perfectly straightforward criteria. That's the same criteria I would use in this situation. So I agree with the way they set this up. Now, right off the bat, we should notice something. There were 90 incidents since 2016. 90 incidents, and there are 4,583 college and universities in the United States. So what that means is the overwhelming majority of the time, there is no free speech crisis. Somebody wants to talk, and they can talk, whether it's offensive or not. People have the platform, they're able to talk, and throughout the country, in most places, it's a live and let live, and people are speaking their mind. And that's a good thing. I support that. I love that. I'm a free speech absolutist. So right off the bat here, I think it's a fair point to make that this is a little bit overblown. And perhaps I'm guilty of it too, because I cover the free speech stories because I care deeply about that issue. But I think it's objectively true to say, hey, yeah, we do make a little bit more of this than it really is. Because if there's 90 incidents since 2016 and 4,583 colleges and universities in the country, that's really not a crisis. It's just an event here and there where there's a scandal. Okay, that's the first point. Second point is this. Take a look at the ideological breakdown of people who are censored or deplatformed or fired. This is an incredibly important point. It's way more the left than the right. Now, that's not me saying that it doesn't matter when it's the right or it doesn't count when it's the right, because I'm against the right being censored just as much as I'm against the left being censored. But this is me saying it happens way more to the left than it does to the right. So this is Adam Johnson from Fairness and Accuracy in Reporting. He explains here, this is the ideological and demographic breakdown of this. 75% of college faculty fired, resigned, or denied promotion due to political speech in 2017 were politically left. Note New York Times coverage of campus free speech during roughly the same period focused on threats to conservative speech 7-1. So again, this is one of those instances of how the media portrays it versus what's actually happening. So you get a misperception of what's really going on. It's like when they say Iran is the #1 state sponsor of terrorism. What? That's not true. Well, when all you do is cover the negative things about Iran, and you never ever cover the negative things about Saudi Arabia and what they're doing, well then yeah, somebody could walk away going, I think Iran's the #1 state sponsor of terrorism. I heard it repeatedly, and I see all these stories about how terrible Iran is. Yeah, but there's a lie by omission there. The lie by omission is you didn't say shit about Saudi Arabia, and if you were covering this objectively, there would be more negative stories about Saudi Arabia. So you get the point I'm trying to make here. It's the same thing with the free speech crisis. Now, again, I care deeply about this issue, and I'm against censorship across the board. I think you should let Milo and fucking Ben Shapiro and whoever else speak and don't, go after them. But by the same token, when there's a pro-Palestine professor who's arguing in favor of BDS, yeah, you got to let that happen too. You know what you got to do? Honestly, on college campuses, you should even let fucking Richard Spencer or white supremacists speak. But you should also let, the Nation of Islam and black nationalists speak I mean, this is the whole thing. We're supposed to have in college a free exchange of ideas. That doesn't mean that I don't think some ideas are stupid. I do. I think a lot of ideas are stupid. If you have a fundamentalist Christian come speak, I'm going to probably disagree with everything they say, but I think they should be allowed to speak. By the same token, I think communists should be allowed to speak. I think from across the ideological spectrum, I want to have that debate. I want to have that discussion, and I don't want to shut it down, whether it's the right or the left, but let's acknowledge the facts at the same time. That 75% of the time, the censorship goes against the left. Now, let me come full circle to loop this into something that's happening today, because I think this is an important point. As I speak right now, it just happened. Alex Jones was permanently banned from YouTube. He's been permanently banned from Apple iTunes, and I think he was from Facebook permanently banned, and then Spotify took down some of his shows, but not all of it. Probably by the end of the week, they'll take down all of his shows too. I'd be surprised if Twitter didn't ban him too, because Twitter is going to buckle to the pressure of the other social media giants getting rid of him. And I see a lot of people cheering this on. My commentary is, be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for. Because censorship will always inevitably come back to bite the left in the ass. Whether or not you acknowledge it is irrelevant, because that's what happens. You want to know why? Because the left typically is powerless. By definition, because what we're advocating for, generally, depending on where you fall on the left, and there's obviously degrees and whatnot, and there's a spectrum, but you're arguing for ideas that disperse power more evenly throughout society. You're arguing for more democratic ideals. You're arguing for the people. You're arguing for workers. That those are not groups that have power. So when you're begging for censorship and deplatforming and Silicon Valley oligarchs to filter your media for you, they're never gonna do it in an objective and fair way. It will always come back to bite you in the ass. Because this isn't about left versus right. This is about powerful versus not powerful. That's what this is. So you might like the fact that they're doing this to Alex Jones. You won't like the fact when it, it comes back to hit me or Jimmy Dore, or if it doesn't hit us, it'll hit some fucking, libertarian socialist channel that I don't know about, but you might watch. It will come back to bite us in the ass, because it always does. And I don't trust the media to report it accurately when that does happen either, by the way, just as they don't report this accurately. 75% of the censorship on college campuses is against the left. You didn't know that. I didn't know that. Now I know that. But I'm not surprised. Why? Because that's the way this works. They push the right-wing censorship and make it seem like it's, oh my God, that's the issue. There's no left-wing censorship. Yes, there is. Yes, don't censor anybody. But the bigger issue is censorship of the left. So now when you cheer for a prominent, high-profile deplatforming and censoring of a right-wing outlet, I think it's going to come back to hurt people, because this is a bad precedent, man. And again, I despise Alex Jones. I think he's wrong about almost everything. I'm the Michael Jordan of dunking on that motherfucker. I'm the Tiger Woods of destroying Alex Jones. I do it all the time, okay? You guys see it. I do it like once a week. But that doesn't mean that he shouldn't be able to use these platforms. And I think that they should be regulated as public utilities, so we lean heavily towards free speech. So this is a really important story to me. The censorship and the deplatforming always comes back to bite the left in the ass, and you should remember that, and I think you should act on principle accordingly.